So with no further ado, I want to introduce Beth Smith. Beth is a longtime BSM director. She served in several places, including DBU. Then she planted a ministry that's become a series of ministries in Dallas County. She started at UT Dallas and then a number of community colleges. They've spread out from there. But Beth is recently, she transitioned into a supervision role. But now Beth has recently started to oversee all of our staff who raise financial support. And we've asked Beth to do some training today to help you get equipped to raise your $2,500 for the spring semester. Many of you, we hope, won't just serve for the spring, but also next year. And some of you, we hope, will join BSM staff longer term. So especially you guys tune into this because Beth will talk about some mindsets and skills that'll help you be a healthy missionary for the long term. So Beth, it's all yours.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Gary. Yeah, I appreciate it. As a former campus missionary to potential new campus missionaries, I'm excited about you guys joining us. I want to start us off today. You're going to need something to write on. So if you're paper and pen, that's great. If not, open a Word doc on your computer if you're using it. In a few minutes, I'm going to get you to write some things down somewhere. So I just want you to be prepared for and be ready to be able to start writing in a few minutes. But let's start today recognizing that we all have different experiences with money, and those experiences impact how we view support raising. What are some of your thoughts and feelings about money and asking for money? I want to ask three or four of you to answer that question. What are some of your thoughts and feelings about money, and specifically about asking people for money? Three or four of you unmute and tell me what you think.
I'll say for me, I'm not a fan of asking for money, even if it's for like good causes or even if it's not for personal use, because just with how life has gone for me, I see a trend of people being like, well, you asked me for something, so now when I ask you for something, it should automatically be yes. Like I
Oh,
understand that wouldn't be the case with people here, but that's just a thought that I have.
yeah, thank you, Caitlin. I appreciate it. Someone else, your thoughts or feelings about money and specifically about asking for money.
I think it's kind of awkward because I think there's always a risk that they'll say no. And so that's kind of a tense situation. So I
Sure.
think it's
Yeah.
always awkward.
Yeah. Awkward. Thank you, Kenny. Yep. Appreciate that. One more.
When I was a
I th-
kid, my parents wouldn't let me even do like school fundraisers because they were like, we don't need to ask anything of anyone. So I think there's like a stigma in my mind of like, I don't want to burden anyone. So,
Yeah. Macy has illustrated a perfect point that I'm so glad you introduced for us, Macy. Yeah, the messages we heard as kids about money, we still carry with us, and we have to acknowledge that. So I want us to just be in that mindset that, we need to think about what did we learn about money from our parents, and we may need to set that aside a little bit. Where I really want to go with you for the next few minutes is we really want to work together on a clear understanding that missionaries are supported by other believers throughout the Bible. And I want to give you some examples of that. I'm going to put into the chat the scriptures that we're going to look at together, just so you'll have those references. So if you want to grab those somehow, you'll have them for later because I'm going to go pretty quickly. But in Exodus 25, one of my favorite examples, God directed Moses to ask the people to bring offerings so that they could construct the tabernacle in the wilderness. And those offerings were given to the craftsmen who were building the tabernacle. They brought so much that the workers told Moses to have them stop bringing their gifts. I really hope that you have an Exodus 25:8 experience where you eventually say, I have enough. I have so much. I don't need any more. But that's an example of believers supporting the work of God and other missionaries. In Nehemiah 2, 1 through 8, you guys are familiar with that story, right? Nehemiah felt impressed to go back and repair the city walls, to go on a mission journey to restore some things. And so he was bold and he asked the king for permission to go, but he also asked the king for the resources to rebuild the city. He didn't just ask the king, hey, let me go do this for a semester or for a year. But king, can you also give me some letters that I can give to the owners or the workers in the forest so we can get the wood we need to rebuild the wall? So he asked for the resources to rebuild the city. In Philippians 4:10-12, Paul expresses his thankfulness for the support from the Philippian church. We all know that Paul did spend some time in what we might call kind of bivocational, where he made tents to make a living, but he didn't always do that. He actually had individuals and churches partner with him and give and support his ministry for the majority of his ministry. And you find that in Philippians 4:10-20. 2 Corinthians 9:10-14, Paul is instructing the Corinthians to see that those who work in the ministry should also be paid from that same place. So he boldly asked the Corinthian church and many others to partner with him in the work that God had put in front of him to do. So just as God is asking you to do this work, you're going to do the same thing. Before we look at some practicals, we want to look at how Jesus also lived his life on support. Can anybody got Luke 8:1-3 open and ready to read out to us? Anybody got a scripture handy or Bible app fast enough? Luke 8:1-3.
I can do it.
Great.
Soon afterward, he went on through cities and villages, proclaiming and bringing the good news of the kingdom of God, and the 12 were with him, and also some women who had been healed of evil spirits and infirmities, Mary called Magdalene, of whom 7 demons had gone out, and Joanna, the wife of Chuza, Herod's household manager, and Susanna, and many others who provided for them out of their means.
Yeah, so Jesus and his disciples, they were supported through this generosity of others. They supported them through their means, was the last phrase that was read there in Luke 8:3. Jesus went around to all these different places, and many people went with him. And some of those people were people that were actually financially supporting Jesus in the ministry. The reality is that the majority of the world's mission workers raise their support to work in full-time ministry. How do they do it? They do it by inviting others into the work that God is doing in their specific mission and asking those people to come alongside of them. Essentially, they recruit people to help support the ministry that God has called them to do. And God has brought people into your life who have seen the way that God has used the BSM to grow you, equip you, and train you. So you get to invite those people into being a part of the BSM ministry on your campus through their financial partnership with you. I want to get to some practical things, some how-tos, and I want to talk to you for just a minute about the idea of gifts versus partners. You're trying to raise $2,500 for the semester. And so let's do the math. What if you went out and you asked people for gifts? Would you give a gift so that I can be a campus missionary? I need gifts totaling $2,500. So let's say that you ask people to give a $50 gift. Our research shows that there's about a 50% success rate. What we said a while ago is that, yeah, some people are going to say no. They're not going to be able to give financially. So if you ask people for a $50 gift, you're going to need 50 people to do that. And since there's a 50% success rate, you have to ask 100 people to give to you. You only have till December 1st, as Kate said a few minutes ago. So you basically would have to ask 16 people every week until then. Doesn't that sound exhausting? I got to go ask 16 people every week for a $50 gift. So instead, this is what we want you to do. We don't want you to ask for gifts. We want you to ask for partners, people to become partners who would give a monthly gift. So your partners do have the option. They could start giving a monthly gift in October, and they could give it through the month of April. If they start giving in October and they give through April, that's 7 months of gifts that you would get. The other thing I would challenge you to do is if you ask someone to give you $100 and they can't give you $100, but they could give you 50, they will give you 50. But if you ask people to give you 50 and they could give you 100, they're not going to give you 100. So I want to challenge you. Our average gift from all of our workers who raise their own support is a little over $100. So when you ask someone to partner with you, you're going to increase a little bit beyond maybe what you're comfortable with. And you're going to say, could you give $100 every month to partner with me to do the gospel? If you do that, you only need about $400 a month to do that. So again, if there's a 50% success rate, you're only going to have to ask 8 people or families to partner with you. We want you to know that if you'll do it this way, it means if you ask 4 people every week, you're going to be fully funded in 2 weeks. I want to go back to that Exodus 25, that we eventually get to the point where we can say we have enough. We don't need any more. So clearly, I think the way for you to go is to ask people to partner with you monthly. This helps you get to your goal quickly, and it helps you to have people who are on your prayer and support team regularly rooting for you. Someone who's giving every month wants to know about what the ministry is doing every month, as opposed to someone who gave you a one-time gift. And so you get partners. Here's the part where I want you to start writing some things down, okay? Number 1, I want you to learn how to tell a compelling story. Here's what I want you to write down. I want you to write down 3 ways that God has changed you through BSM while you've been in college. Write down 3 ways God has changed you through BSM during your time in college. That's going in the chat in case you need it. Okay. 3 ways God has changed you through BSM during your time in college. It can be phrases or sentences. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do that. All right. I see some people looking back at the screen. So if you have 3 ways, now what I want you to do is I want you to look at those 3 and put a star by the one that you think is the most compelling. Which one of those 3 would, if somebody heard it, would make them want to partner with you? Okay. So you're going to pick one of the 3 that you think will make others want to partner with you. We're going to keep writing. So the next thing I want you to write down is I want you to write down 3 ways that you've seen God moving in the BSM this semester. Maybe that's in you, maybe that's in somebody else, but 3 ways that you've seen God move at the BSM this semester. Again, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to do that. All right. Again, do the same thing. Put a star by the one that you think would make others want to become a partner with you. Which one is the most powerful of those 3 ways you've seen God move at the BSM this semester? Just put a little star by one of the 3. And then one more writing exercise. Write down 3 things that you're hoping to see God do at the BSM next semester as you serve as a CMI. What do you hope God will do in the BSM next semester if you're able to serve as a CMI? Again, about 30 seconds to write 3 things down. All right, that was 30 seconds. So same thing, put a star by the one that you think will make others want to become a partner with you. If you took those 3 things that you starred and you put them into a script that you would use every time you ask people to become a partner with you, you are well on your way to doing a great job of inviting people to partner with you. You want to talk about how God has changed you. You want to talk about how God has moved in the BSM. You want to talk about what you hope God will do through you as you serve as a CMI. If you'd put those 3 things that you start into a small, simple script, and you would use that to ask people to become partners with you, I think you're well on your way to accomplishing it. Let's do one more practical thing that I think will help you. We need a list of people that we're going to ask. So we want to think about 20 people or families that we can share this script with that we've just created and invite them to partner with you. What I'd like to do during this time is I want to get several of you to suggest a group to consider. When I was coaching some people through this last semester, we said, okay, who's a group of people that you could go back to? And one of our workers said, I'm going to call everybody that I went on that mission trip with last summer. So they reached back out to other people they'd been on mission trips with. That's one group of people you could begin to reach out to. I want to see if you guys can help me suggest who are some other groups of people that we can reach out to. And you'll need to just unmute and say what group you think we can reach out to. And we're trying to help each other. So if Lane suggests one, everybody else is going to write it down. Okay. Or if Macy suggests one, everybody else is going to write it down. Who are some groups that we need to consider as we try to come up with a list of 20 people?
Members of our church.
Yes, members of the church that you're a member of.
Like
Great. Jessica, what was that second part you said?
Elders of our church.
Okay, yeah, leaders, elders, deacons, leaders in your church. Yes. What's another group?
I think past coworkers that you worked with.
That's a great one, Lane. Yeah, people that you've worked with in the past. There's a guy today in Houston who reached back out to a woman that he'd worked for when he was a college student, and she gave some significant gifts. So yes, that's a great one. Who else? Who's a group that you could reach out to?
Extended family.
Extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins. One of my cousins and her husband are monthly partners for my ministry right now. Yes. Another group.
Past donors for our previous mission trips.
Yes, if you've done Go Now or you've done a beach reach and you've asked people to give for that before, those people, if they've given money before, they're likely to be willing to give again. And so they're great. Excellent one. Somebody else, give me a suggestion for a group of people that you might consider reaching out to.
Maybe asking professors that you had at the university.
Yeah, Daniel, that's a great one. Faculty, professors. Now, only if you were a good student. If you skipped their class all the time, maybe don't reach out to them. But yeah, there may be some faculty members that you could ask. What if you were in a small group with somebody, a Bible study or a women's group at your church or a men's group at your church? The other participants in that small group would be great. Obviously, your friends that are just getting jobs, you're graduating college, a lot of your friends are graduating college, they're just getting jobs. They may be excellent partners, but they may not financially be ready yet to give. So you might have to think above that group just a little bit, not entirely, but I had a bunch of students at UT Dallas who graduated because they'd been on full ride scholarships and got great jobs and could begin giving to the ministry immediately upon graduation. So you'll have to know that. So I want you to write down, not right this minute, but later today, I want you to write down a list of 20 people. Think about those groups that we've talked about and make your list of people that you're going to start asking. And when you call them, let's talk about some practical things. Once you get started on this, you can move through it pretty quickly. It helps to find an accountability partner. Find one person that you will say, I'm not going to stop asking people until I get to fully funded. Maybe that's somebody else in the BSM. Maybe it's a current BSM staff member. Maybe it's somebody else on this call today. But you're going to find one person and you're going to commit to being accountable to them to not stop asking until you get fully funded. You might consider creating a core team of like 3 people that you're going to ask to partner with you financially, but they could also be an encouragement to you in this journey of getting to fully funded. I want you to set your timeline. I want you to determine when you're going to start doing these asks. Truthfully, you're going to get an appointment a notice from Kate and Gary and an agreement. And the minute you get that, you could start asking people to support you. Okay. What we don't want is we would hate for you to drag this out all through the Thanksgiving holidays. You wait until Thanksgiving and you start asking people, and you have to have those first gifts in by December 1st. Don't do that. Set a timeline that is like, I could start asking people now. Remember, you're not asking people for a handout, give me money, but you're inviting people into the ministry. You're asking them to partner with you into the ministry of seeing lives changed for the gospel. You definitely want to share about the impact of BSM on yourself and how you'll serve this next year. You want to communicate real clearly what your financial need is, $2,500 for the semester. You want to try and meet with them in person over coffee or lunch if possible, but a phone call or a Zoom call can work. And you want to try and do this confidently. What you don't want to do is you don't want to skip past praying. You want to start this whole journey by prayerfully asking the Father to go with you. Treat this as ongoing partnership. It's real easy to invite people in, right? To let people in, but you also want to keep people in. So when you talk about asking them to partner with you and giving every month, then you need to work on keeping them updated, letting them know about the ministry. Ask them with a lot of confidence. Here's another thing. One of my last practical things is don't say no for somebody else. When you ask if they would partner with you, don't use words like, well, I don't know if you can do this or not, but I would like to ask you. Like you just basically said no for them. Try to always use as much positivity as you can in describing this. You're inviting others into an opportunity to partner with you in the ministry. Never go to an appointment with someone where you're asking them to give empty-handed. Take some flyer from the BSM with you. Take some photos with you. Take something about what you think your typical week would look like. But you're always going to take something with you when you go to meet someone and ask if they will give. I keep copies of my card that I use when I ask people in my Bible, so that when I'm at church or when I'm at other places, if there's an opportunity to say, would you be willing to meet with me, to partner with me? I have those things handy. I have them ready. So don't go empty-handed. Now, here's the last thing I want you to think about doing in the last couple minutes we have together. Let's practice asking, who feels bold and confident today, who would be willing to say, let's role play. I am somebody potentially that would give $100 a month. And you want to ask me to be your partner today. Who's willing to be bold and confident and practice in front of an audience today this skill that we're talking about? Do I have a taker?
Can we read from our notes or from our scripts?
Yes, Jessica, you can. Did you just volunteer?
Yes.
All right, go for it, Jessica.
This is probably going to be so bad, but give me constructive criticism. Okay. So would I begin with, how would you suggest that I go? Would I introduce myself or say?
Yeah, for sure. You want to build some rapport. Let's pretend like we've already done that. You want to spend a little time at the beginning asking how their family's doing, getting caught up if you haven't talked to them in a while, telling them what you've been doing. So we've already done all of that, pretend like. And now you're at the point where you're ready to say, I wanted to ask if you would consider, and you go right into these 3 things that you wrote down.
Okay, I'm gonna use like a fake name for the person. Like you want to talk to them like a friend, right?
Sure.
What's a cute name?
How about Beth? You could use Beth.
Hey Beth, hey girl. Okay, so hey Beth, I'm so glad that you're doing good. Like I'm so like the Lord has blessed you, and he's blessed me in so many ways. And lately, I felt the Lord call me to, fulfill a mission of his on my campus, on my college campus.
Oh yeah?
And yes, I've felt, have you heard of the organization BSM?
Oh yeah, I know what that is. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I started getting more involved there, and I felt the Lord calling me to be a campus missionary for that organization. And during my time there, I've been there for about 3 years. They've helped me so much with my spiritual journey. I've gained so much empathy for the people around me and their journey with God, and I've seen so many testimonies come true. And Um, it's just so beautiful to see how these people, how God has opened these people's eyes to see how loved they are and how He has such a plan for them and how He can give us hope when we're feeling hopeless. And I've, He's made this organization has opened so many people's eyes, and we've been able to pursue more outreaches to speak to more students. Okay, pause. Do you want us to go through all of the
Yeah,
three?
no, you're doing great. You're doing great. Yes. So guys, listen, I'm gonna take Jessica off the hook a little bit. Yeah, you build rapport, you get to know, have a catch up. You start in with exactly what Jessica's doing. This is what God's been doing. This is how I've changed. I have an opportunity now. Here's really important. Just like when you're sharing the gospel with someone, if you share the gospel with them, but you don't stop at the end and say something along the lines of, is this something you would consider doing today? Or would you tell me where, if I drew the three circles, would you tell me where you think you are on this? If I don't give them an opportunity to respond, then I haven't been successful. This is very much the same. So you're going to describe how God has changed you through the BSM, like Jessica was just doing. You're going to talk about how you've seen God at move in the BSM. You're going to talk about what you hope to have happen. And then you have to say, so I was wondering, Jessica, if you could consider the possibility of giving $100 a month while I serve at the BSM so that I can serve. You have to make that ask at the very end, okay? So our time's running out. That's why I kind of stopped you, Jessica. You were doing a great job of role modeling for us. What I want to ask you guys to do is I want to ask you early this week to walk into your BSM director's office or your associate's office or the CM's office. And I want you to say, I want to practice with you before I start going and asking people to support me, and get your constructive feedback from your local director. Be specific in your stories. It's far better if you say, this semester, I was able to meet Julie and share the gospel with Julie, and Julie became a believer and is being discipled, than if I have some kind of generic version of that, which is, we share the gospel with students on campus, but it doesn't give enough details. Try to give some details in what you're sharing with the people. So just in conclusion, I want to just say, don't be ashamed of asking people for money. People have money to give. Think about how much your parents spend on their streaming services every month, right? Think about how much money your friends spent at Panera last week. They have money to give, so don't be ashamed of asking. Don't underestimate who it is that God could call to be on your team. When God chose King David, he made it clear that he doesn't see the same way people see. He sees the heart. So God could call you to people you haven't spoken to in a long time. That's okay. He could call your best friends to partner with you. He could call the poor, like the widow who gave her last 2 coins in Mark 12. He could use non-believers. Look at Nehemiah. The king gave him everything that he needed, plus some. So don't say no for people. And more than anything else, pray every day. Most of us carry a sinful and a fear-focused view of money. So that means fundraising goes against what we want to do and feel like doing, but it also means that we'll be sanctified as we do it. Sometimes sanctification hurts a little. It hurts our pride, it hurts our comfort zone. The truth is, you really don't need either of these. So pray diligently every day before you go and ask someone to partner with you. But let's let people into this ministry. Imagine a team of 8 to 10 people who are praying for you every week in the spring semester. And they're praying for you every week in the spring semester because they made a financial partnership commitment to you to join you in this ministry. If you have questions, let me put my number, my email and number in the chat, and you can follow back up with me on, hey, how do I do this? I don't really remember what you said. And I'm struggling with this a little bit. I want to be here to help you out. So right there in the chat is my email and my phone number. And I'd welcome any questions that you have about support raising and going through the process of doing support raising in the next couple of weeks. I really believe that you guys can get this done quickly. Again, go back to the math. Do the math. If I ask people just to give me $50 or if I ask people to give me $100 a month, how many people do I need to ask? Do you want to be exhausted? Then go that one-time gift route. Do you want to see God at work? Then find some partners that will give to the ministry on a regular basis while you're serving. Let me pray for you guys as you move into your support raising journey. God, we all carry our own thoughts and feelings about money and asking for money. And that has to kind of get reconciled with what the Bible says about how missionaries are supported financially before we can really begin. But then we also need to get really sharp and clear about, hey, would you partner with the ministry so that I have this opportunity to go forward? And so I pray that for each one of these applicants, you would give them the courage and the power to go forward and ask people to partner with them in this season. I pray these things in your name. Amen.